The girl is showing off her brand items. This boasting probably stems from family upbringing. In China, the term new poor is becoming increasingly popular. Within an income of only 4,200 yuan a month, they are nominally middle class. Even though they only have $1 left in their wallet, they are still willing to borrow another $1,000 for luxury consumption. So where do they get the money to pay off debt? How will China face this situation? Let's explore this mystery together. Imagine one day your house, car, and money are suddenly gone, beyond the control of the police and beyond the judgment of the court. Wouldn't you feel desperate? At this moment, around 470 million people in China may be experiencing such sorrow. Is it cruel? A group of middle-class people who used to live well seems to be facing a crisis of returning to poverty. Behind the continuous shrinkage of assets, everyone might be a victim. According to the standards of the National Bureau of Statistics of China, people with an annual income between 50,000 and 420,000 yuan are considered middle class. Surprising, isn't it? As long as you earn more than 4,200 yuan per month, you belong to the middle class. Does it feel like your status has suddenly improved? Don't be blindly happy. Reality will give you a slap in the face. Or if you go to Baidu now and search for what the middle class is, it will tell you those whose physiological and safety needs are satisfied and whose emotional and esteem needs are better satisfied. In simpler terms, it's a group of people with money, houses, cars, leading a happy life. So you can imagine how much money you should earn each month, how much you should spend, and how much you should save. How many people dare to say they are now middle class? The majority of the middle class still fundamentally relies on selling intellectual labor to earn rewards. Their time and energy are limited, determining that their income also has an upper limit. They cannot make money like the rich, and they face costs such as housing loans, car loans, childcare, pensions, healthcare, etc. If they encounter unemployment or an economic crisis, there is a risk of returning to poverty. Taking Japan as an example, after the war, 90% of Japanese people believed that, in the context of economic takeoff and the lifetime employment system, they had entered the middle class, inventing a new term, 100 million middle class. The middle class of salaried workers is now trapped in the illusion of living for today. At its peak, 92% of Japanese women owned an LV bag, and the growth rate of consumer loans was higher than the GDP growth rate, with an average of 6 credit cards per person. This is surprisingly similar to the current situation in China. In the current situation of continuous economic decline, the government tolerates various financial institutions launching various consumer loans. This has given birth to numerous new types of poor people and a proliferation of false displays of wealth throughout society. Behind the seemingly glamorous facade of Chinese society, there are countless problems, too glaring to ignore. The essence of the commercial market is to constantly entice you to consume. The act of consumption, in turn, has created a particularly prosperous market. The nature of this market is to continually indulge and encourage your consumption. After all, everything is about marketing. How attractive is consumer credit to capital? With services like Alipay introducing Huabei and JDD.com launching Baidiao, even food delivery apps like Meituan now have Meituan monthly payment. Users are astonished, exclaiming, "Oh my, I can repay for a meal next month when I order takeout." Is this an attempt to cultivate a rhythm where even ordering takeout involves enjoying a lavish feast? It's shameless to coax poor people into borrowing money for consumption. Why does Huabei always boast in such annoying advertising? After checking the content of Huabei and Baishao advertisements, it's evident that both target a young audience. The theme of the content is to improve life using consumer credit. JD Baitiao's ad says, "Young people can't endure," expressing that Baiao is willing to accompany all young people who persevere, so they no longer miss out on life. Huabei's ad is about being young, is using Huabai, living the way you want with Huabai. Both advertisements are actively cultivating the consumer views of their target audience. There's a set of data worth contemplating. The transaction amount of internet consumer finance among college students is increasing year by year. In the 18 to 30 age group in China, 68.25% have used installment consumption. Despite their limited economic capacity, their consumer awareness is forward-looking, and they are willing to overdraft the future to improve their quality of life. Therefore, they become prey for capital. Once capital identifies its prey, understands the pain points of your life, there will be 100 reasons to make you spend money. If you don't want to spend money, they will relentlessly advertise to brainwash you. Do you think you won't be brainwashed? But the people around you have been brainwashed, started borrowing for consumption, and even promoted their behavior to you. What do you think is the likelihood of resisting the temptation of consumerism? So, why can such evil advertising, which preys on young people to overconsume and become slaves to capital, be broadcast so openly? Why doesn't the Advertising Supervision Department of the Industrial and Commercial Administration take any action? The reason is that, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics of China's Statistical Communique of the People's Republic of China on the National Economic and Social Development, in 2018, the contribution rate of final consumption expenditure to the country's GDP was 76.2%, an increase of 17.4% compared to the previous year. In simple terms, increasing the leverage ratio of residents' consumption is crucial for the country's economic development. In the current economic downturn in China, the existence of consumer credit can stimulate economic development. Without consumption, where does economic growth come from? So, this is the main reason why the content encouraging young people to overconsume through consumer credit is not subject to supervision. Why are the new poor in Shenzhen so crazy? They queue for 3 hours to buy limited edition AJ sneakers, carry Chanel bags, spray Gucci perfume, hold the latest iPhone, but on average, they are in debt for 120,000 RMB. It takes a year and a half to pay off, and they believe that money is meant to be spent, not saved. While working diligently in a 996 work schedule, advertisements say, codfish from Alaska is leaping out of the water. Your life should not be limited to a routine of 2 points and 1 line. When their income rises and they still live in urban villages, ads say, own the bustling city and we'll give you a 5-star home. Capital doesn't hesitate to spend 5 million RMB just to make an advertisement. It comprehensively occupies their minds. You are what you consume. As Polish sociologist Bauman proposed, in the past, the poor were those who couldn't afford to meet basic needs, but now the new poor are middle-class white-collar workers with high incomes who engage in overconsumption. Consumerism gradually manipulates the new poor. According to the group psychology book The Crowd, a study of the popular mind, anything that can provide illusions can become their master. Goods become symbols of various identity verifications. If you don't dine at a Michelin-starred restaurant, how do you prove your love for gourmet food? If you don't go to the gym, how do you prove your self-discipline? If you don't buy a diamond ring, how do you prove your everlasting love for her? In this mutual influence of vanity psychology, various distorted consumption phenomena have emerged in Chinese society. On the internet, there are quite a few people showcasing their debt amounts. There's even a popular group on Douban called the Debtors Alliance. Just randomly clicking into a few posts, you find a post from a post-2000 generation individual in debt of 400,000 RMB, feeling lost. A college student is in debt of 50,000 RMB, thinking they haven't bought much at all? Because the phenomenon of young people being in debt is quite common. Ning Financial randomly selected 4 million loan applicants born between 1980 and 1999 on their platform, conducted data analysis, and concluded that excluding mortgages, the average loan for those born in the 80s is 80,100 RMB, while those born in the 90s average a loan of 31,800 RMB. More people are unknowingly accumulating more debt. China Merchants Bank's 2020 annual report indicates that, throughout 2020, the overdue amount for credit card loans increased by 17.17 billion RMB compared to 2019, and this is just data from one bank. Lastly, when young people are really out of money, how do they continue consuming goods to gain social validation? On Weibo, A netizen exposed an undercover experience in a Shanghai socialite group with just a 100,000 RMB asset proof and paying a 500 RMB membership fee. One could enter the Magic Capital Socialites WeChat group, expecting discussions about luxury items and networking. It turned out to be a group of fake socialites. Hermes bags worth over 10,000 RMB were shared among co-renters, paying a monthly rent of just over 1,500 RMB, split among 4 people, each contributing just over 300 RMB to carry an Hermes bag for a week. They also shared expenses for high-end hotels at 5,000 RMB a day, with a group of 40 people, each person paying only 125 RMB. They took turns queuing to enter rooms for photo shoots, with 5 people per group, each group having an hour. The host of Xi'an Video, a mainland news channel, commented on the situation. It can truly be said that everything can be shared, from luxury cars to luxury items, bags, and even branded stockings, without exception. Recently, a netizen posted on the Xi'an University forum, claiming that a financially disadvantaged student receiving financial aid at the Sino-French Institute of Nuclear Engineering and Technology at the university owns the Apple Series set, generally referring to 4 Apple brand products: iPhone, computer, tablet, and watch, and has also purchased a 1517 RMB ticket for Wang Jie's concert. In the post, the whistleblower disclosed the student's ID information who received the financial aid, indicating that this undergraduate student from Xi'an University 2021 class falls under the category of particularly difficult circumstances. A mainland Chinese elementary school student in Hebei is flaunting wealth online, holding bags and jewelry. The little girl even takes money and smashes it in front of the camera. Netizens believe that the girl's family is not wealthy, and the items she has are not genuine luxury brands. Therefore, her ostentatious behavior seems to be learned from adults. With the tacit approval and indulgence of the government and the aggressive guidance of capital-driven consumer loans, all Chinese people are falling into an inescapable consumption trap when the economic avalanche finally arrives. No snowflake is innocent.